Hey there, welcome everybody to another Sunday night watch chat. Watch Soup Light. Light because, well, Sanjay's been hosting it. And Sanjay um, is expecting a kid any second now, right? Something
I
like
think
that.
it.
Have you
I
heard
mean,
anything, Chaz? Or
they may be in the process right now. I haven't heard anything, but I know it. Uh, the stork is in the air,
just,
as I understand it, looking for a place to land.
yeah,
So could be
yeah.
any minute.
I guess it might be cold up there, and the stork just, doesn't want to.
Yeah, I don't know how the storks. Do they go that far north?
I don't know. I
They
don't.
have to,
Have I even
right?
seen a stork? Like every time I've seen a stork, it's been like in a kid's book, like a
Yeah,
drawing of a stork.
yeah. Or Finding Nemo. Wasn't there a stork?
Yeah, I think there's a
Finding Nemo.
or
Yeah.
was it a pelican or was it a stork?
Maybe it's a pelican.
Yeah,
Is a pelican different than a stork?
yeah, yeah. It's got the big gullet, right? It's got
Yeah,
the yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the stork is
yeah.
just skinny and it's got a
Yeah, storks kind of,
yeah,
yeah,
and they always have like a little hat. And then
yeah,
they carry like in their mouth a big little sack with a kid in it.
yeah, yeah. Got a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Chaz, thank you for joining me tonight, and everybody at the
Hey,
chat.
it's
Thanks
great
for
to be
joining us.
here.
We're gonna do a couple of videos in the spirit of Watch Soup. Nothing too crazy. That's another reason why it's light. Chaz, how are you today, man? How's you've been
Doing
watching
great,
football all
man.
day today, right?
Yeah, watching football. Man, that first game, it was
Yeah,
this. We were talking just beforehand. The playoffs this year have been really great, and the game came down to the wire. And hey, glad to have these guys jumping in. I'm proud of you guys. This you guys being here means a lot. They're
yeah,
giving up. Maybe they got football going on,
yeah.
but we're glad to have some watch guys here, and
Yeah,
it's always
split the screen. Have the football going in the
right,
background. Watch Soup
right.
in the front. And what
But
do you
it's
got there?
always good. I feel. Let me say first of all, we miss Sanjay. Nobody can take his place. He's the man, and we send our prayers and well
Yeah,
wishes to his wife and his
yeah,
family. We're anxious to see their new delivery. So we
yeah,
miss you,
yeah,
Sanjay. Look
yeah,
forward to getting you back.
yeah,
Uh, Appreciate you standing in, Rob.
yeah,
He's picked up the steam when you were taking some time off,
yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
we're hoping that Amon, comes out of his sabbatical,
Yeah, that'd be great
jumps
too.
back at some time. So we
Yeah,
need all you guys going. But anyway, got the Planet Ocean tonight,
yeah,
uh, the Orange Special. So
very nice. Love that watch. Yeah.
yeah, it's really a great watch. I love it, and especially on the weekends. I don't know why it's just a watch I
See,
gravitate.
weekend watch. Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
it's a weekend watch. Yeah,
Interesting. You brought Sanjay and his wife, and equally as I'm excited about seeing the new Sanjay and Mrs. Sanjay kid, the new watch he's probably gonna get, right? Because
it's
he's probably gonna get a watch, right? He's probably gonna
you.
get a watch.
Sanjay's on the prowl, and if you saw the show last night, I mean, he had everything in the trunk. Uh, we had everything in the trunk and went to the AD. And the miracle this time is he came back with everything.
Wow,
But
wow.
those, I'm telling you, Sanjay's watches are nervous.
Yeah.
They know something's about to go down, man. Something's about to go down.
Oh man. I'm just I'm as excited. Well, no, of course I'm excited to see the new Sanjay baby,
Right.
but the watch is a close second. I got the Submariner, of course, wearing
Oh
tonight.
man,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Yubby.
The Yubby. I was wearing the Panerai all day today, but then I was like, I miss this watch. I mean, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I'm wearing it. I know,
You
cue the music, but
you got to have it.
I got it bad.
It's your thing,
Yeah.
and there is absolutely no shame in that. What a watch!
Thanks
So
for the support. I appreciate that, Chaz.
yeah,
Let's say hi to some people, and then we'll get into the videos that we're going to talk about tonight. Dan is here. Hey, Dan. Thanks for coming. Hey, Chris, from the Watch Lounge. He's also buried in snow. A lot of people on the East Coast getting buried.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah.
11:05. Hello, Sam, all the way from Australia, saying hello. What's up, buddy? Ep is here. 11 saying be right back. Yeah, don't worry, we'll be here for the next hour. Bill K is here. How you doing? Hey, James, what's up? How are you? Neff, does light mean less sodium? My doctor says I need to watch out for that. You need to watch as well. Sure, why
Yeah.
not? Get a watch.
The doc says you need to watch.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Wilson, hey fellas, how you doing? Um, Neither host is salty. Yeah, we're not salty. Nah, we're
Not
not
too
salty.
bad.
No, not too bad. Not too bad. B Dev's here. Hey Chaz. Hey everyone else. What's going on? Uh Brownie's here. Craig G wearing the Tudor Pepsi. I think that's a new acquisition by Craig.
Nice.
Looks great. Yeah, yeah. I like that watch a lot, actually. Um, Justin's here. Roar the Tiger is here. Jared, happy Sunday, everyone. How about them Bengals? Well, if you're a fan of the Bengals, Jared, congratulations.
Yeah.
Junior saying hello from Michigan. KR Joy is here. Ken Spears checking in from Pittsburgh. Oh, Jared has best wishes and happy health to Sanjay and his family, especially with the
Yeah.
newest addition. Yeah, thank you. Well
Yeah.
said. Well said, Jared. Mez9 is here. Did he review the Black Bay 58? Well, he reviewed it the first time around, right?
I
When he
think
had it.
so. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Um, hey, Anish is here. What's going on, Anish? Thanks for stopping in. Um, Cowboy Swami, did I say hello to you? Pay all the taxes in New Jersey and no plowing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's we have a lot of property taxes in New Jersey. I know firsthand, for sure. Bill K, I love the orange bezel PO. It's so sporty
Thanks,
and
buddy.
pure Chaz. Yeah, thanks. Oh, Chris, thanks for the super chat. Hey, congrats to Sanjay and family. Couldn't have happened to a better dude, of course.
Yeah.
Here's
Thanks,
some
Chris.
baby formula money. Excellent. And Hans is here. Hey, Hans, how are you?
Hey,
Nice to see you.
Hansi.
All right, so Chaz, we're gonna stick with the format a little bit and do a couple of videos. And let's start off with the video that you picked. Why not? It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite subjects to talk about, and that's Jeff McMahon came out with a video this week. Watch enthusiasts rely on super compartmentalization to preserve their sanity. Chaz, tell us about this video and your thoughts.
Well, it was, just classic Jeff McMahon. Um, he really what set up this video was the video before this video. I don't know
Hmm.
if you caught that when it was about um, arguments for having a one watch
Yeah.
collection. You remember that he called
Hmm.
it a thought experiment. He
Yeah.
said, like
Yeah.
just kind of giving a what if kind of argument, and his reasons for that were number one. The number one argument is you're not really into watches. You're really into playing Batman. And what he said
Right.
by that is you don't really love watches. It's just like putting on a bat suit.
Yeah.
And he said, Batman doesn't have, a bunch of different costumes. When he sees the light, he grabs the bat suit. He
Right.
says you grab the one. And then he
Yeah.
said the second reason was you know what you like by now. That you're not new to this thing. You know what you want, so you just get the one what you want. You don't go after everything else. You just you know what you like. You get it. You wear it. Um, then the anxiety argument. If you have for him, if he has a bunch of watches, he has anxiety. If he has fewer watches, he has less anxiety.
Hmm.
And then the cannibalization argument. You got all these watches, and certain watches are going to eliminate another watch.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, he's did all that to set up this one about evidently everybody kept giving him all these arguments of why you don't need just one watch,
Right.
and why you don't have anxiety if you've got a bunch of watches. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons you do that is by uh, compartmentalizing
Hmm.
these subcategories,
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I realized real quick I'm guilty.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, Um, his subcategories. Let me give him this
Hmm.
first. First
Yeah.
of all, they were heavy hitters.
Yeah.
That's your go-to watches. Your big time. Whether you're a high-end collector, you've got the hype watches,
Hmm.
or you're down here with bottom feeders like me, and you got two or three good watches, and
Yeah.
you know, so that's your one category. And then he said grease fire watches. That's
Yeah.
you're not going to get your nice watches to go out and barbecue or
Right.
clean. You don't want to ruin them, so those watches don't really count. It's like you've got a whole category of watches that you only grab for beaters, we would call
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And then if you go for a less PG version, Archie, I think, has a word for those things.
Yeah.
Um, G-Shocks, that's another category. And this is where he got me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I think I've got 9 watches now that in my, you know, in my official collection.
Yeah.
But I've got about 15 G-Shocks,
Yeah.
you know. So if you add all those together, it sounds like we had a crazy number of watches, but I don't even count the G-Shocks, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it's I don't. So to my mind, I've got 9 watches, a relatively, you know, not a huge collection, because I compartmentalized the G-Shocks,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and then he talked about Swiss luxury box queens. I think he meant safe queens.
Yeah.
These are the watches given by your wife, where you keep in a special place and you wear them when you go out with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the white elephant watches, that these don't count because they're gift watches that people give you that
Yeah.
you don't want to wear, so you kind of hide them away
Yeah.
somewhere. And he said these are watches. And one thing he said is, the guy says, "Well, this doesn't really count. I only wear this watch to funerals,
Yeah.
and if Haley's Comet comes by,
Right. 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 Right.
So anyway, his whole point was just the way we have subcategories in our collection that helps us keep our sanity. So that's my kind of overview of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, so you do it, right? So you got
I
your
do it.
your
I'm
you.
guilty.
So how many compartments do you have?
Basically, I think I've got, you could say I've got 3.
Right.
I've got sentimental watches that, like, I got a watch that belonged to my dad.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I've got a pocket watch that belonged to my grandfather. Um, those watches are, they're always here.
Yeah.
They're really my most prized uh, part of my collection, but I don't really count them in the overall collection. If somebody asks me how many watches I have, I don't include those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's probably in that category maybe 4 watches, 5 watches, including some pocket watches. Then I've got G-Shocks,
Yeah.
and then I've got my normal, my normal, what I say, in my main collection.
Yeah.
So I've got, in my own small collection, I've got 3 subcategories.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So let's see what some of the crowd says here first, and then I'll jump into my thoughts here. Justin saying, "I'm not sure Jeff McMahon is the leading authority to speak on sanity, especially when referring to watches." Good point, Justin. Um, Mezzanine is wearing a samurai all weekend. Um, James is responding to Justin. To be fair, he seems more content since the SPV 143. Not sure how long that will last. Yeah.
right,
Um, One watch is not a collection. Did you ever see a coin collector with one coin?
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a
Good,
good
good,
point, Bruno.
good point. Um, Sanjay baby, not don't know. Oh, wait, congrats, Sanjay. Wait, are people did he
Sanjay's
oh yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, here he goes. Hey guys, just popping to say hi. I hope you have a fantastic stream. Um, let us know if it's happened, Sanjay, would you?
No baby yet, still waiting. I
Okay,
read
so I'm
ahead.
catching up. I'm catching up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Justin saying there are no categories, just watches and justification. So let me just pop in right here before we get to the crowd, to the chat. Look, yeah, I totally have compartments too, right? Right now my collection is small, but I'm just only talking about like my core collection, which is about 5 mechanical watches. Wait, but I mean that's not even true. I have more mechanical watches because I have watches that I have technically bought that I'm doing for giveaways, right? So
Right.
Jeff was saying, like, like you first thing in your mind, you think you have like 3 or 4 watches, but you actually have like 50 watches in your house, right? So like,
Right.
so I have those 5 watches, right? And previously when I had like more, one is German, one is Austrian. Previously, like, there was a point last year where my German subset, which is another category collection, was larger than my other watches in my
I
collection. So
remember that. Right.
I had my regular watches, and I had my German watches. But okay, so I don't have that now. But I do have the G-Shocks, right? Which I don't
Right.
count, right? I
Yeah.
have like 5 or 6 of them that are
Right.
sitting in a box right next to my other watches, and then I have like around 6 other watches that are going to be giveaways, but technically they're mine. You know what I mean? And they're sitting in another box in the
Oh
closet.
yeah. Yeah.
And so like I have like close to like 20 watches. But I only think that I have 5.
Yeah.
And if I actually dwell on the fact that I have 20 watches, then some anxiety comes in, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I compartmentalize them, right? And
Right.
now I
Right.
can, live a normal life. Right?
I can convince myself I've got a small collection. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so, man, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I'm guilty as charged, as you are. Um, Jeff is a smart dude. He thinks he spends a lot of mental energy thinking about things, which I
Right.
appreciate.
And I think he voices a lot of things everybody kind of deals with in some degree.
Hmm.
I'm glad I'm not tortured like I feel like sometimes he is.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
for sure.
but I think maybe part of that is just kind of his personality. I
Yeah,
don't think I think he's just kind of voicing some stuff that all of us
yeah.
feel from time to time, really.
I feel like he's like about this about a lot of things.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
just happens
yeah.
to have a channel for
Right.
YouTube. I
Talk
mean, I know
about
he's
watches.
Yeah, I know he likes music and he's like piano plays and what I'm sure he's crazy obsessed about that as well.
Right,
And
right.
and food and exercise. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the watches are just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Just part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a part of it. Yeah.
Enough of saying I have 4 categories. Watches I always keep around, my faves, watches I wear on occasion, watches I never wear and really kind of hate, and then watches with sentimental value. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Makes
sure.
perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. Oh, and I have some like watches laying around here that were like my mother's and my wife's grandmother's.
Right.
So like
Right.
now I'm thinking about like all the other, like technically I have like like, and then there's her watches, but I mean that's hers. But I
Right.
mean like we have like 30 watches in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. But
And
you
3
don't think
cuckoo
that
clocks.
yeah,
Right.
if you thought really if you added all that in a big circle,
Yeah.
it would feel different to you
Oh yeah.
than you saying, here's my collection and you're kind of not looking at that other. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see here. Um, James says I definitely compartmentalize divers, dress, vintage, digital, and the GS and Rolex are in their own category. Hey, Pete's here from Not So Obvious Watches. Thank you for joining us all the way on the other side of the world, too. I've got 3 categories: stuff I choose for me, my choices; stuff people gave me, other people's choices; and channel stuff, no choice. Yeah, it's
Makes sense.
yeah. Like I think having a channel makes it a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna speak for Pete on this, but I can. But if I have some other watches floating around, like I could tell myself, oh, it's for the channel, and usually, that's what they are, and they usually don't stick around, right? I'll buy them, review them, and sell them, but if you take the total number of watches that I have and that have come in and out, I mean, last year, I mean, it's bananas, for sure. It's way. I
Oh
don't even
yeah.
want to think. I don't even want to think about it, but.
Well, I think if you've got a channel where I think that's kind of a whole different thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it's a little bit different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think everybody in the chat just wants me to keep on saying
Yeah, I know.
compartmentalization. Is it
It's such a hard word to
compartmentalization
say.
or justification? Either way, we pull a Jedi mind trick on ourselves one way or another. Absolutely.
That's it. That's it,
That's it.
Galen.
That's it. Exactly. Neff is saying, then there's the yubby resting on the pillow next to Bobby Legs. I mean, look, Neff, if I had a nightstand that was big enough to hold my watch box that I put myself in, then I would do that. I would do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I need one of those one watch roll. I mean, I think I have one, and I'll just put it next to. Yeah, Mrs. Legs would not like that. James is my largest compartment is the need to sell or service pile. Uh, 20 watches, that's a harem. Yeah, right. June just, I've never had a G-Shock. Wow.
Wow.
All right. Well, I mean, look, I mean, you can just go on Amazon and get one. Spend like 40, $50 and get a decent one. DW 5600 is the one I have. And if you do some stuff outside, it's a good watch to have. I'm sure you have stuff to do outside kind of watch anyway, but I don't know. It's just you just toss it, right? You just toss it, and it's fine. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
what I like about the G-Shock. And plus all the different variations, they keep it fun and fresh, and they've been pumping out new watches like ridiculous, right? I mean, like they pump out so many new models. They keep it fun and fresh. They got a good they got something good going on over there for sure in the last couple of years. I think
Right. Right.
they're running a really great business
And
model.
they're in that price where it's easy to impulse buy,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, and I'm sure you get alerts from them either by
All
email or
emails, texts.
right, and you hit those things, and it's so easy just to say add to cart.
Oh man, did you get the text or email about the Barcelona watch, the
Oh
Barcelona?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like,
I know
I'm not a
I did
fan,
the
but
same thing. I did the same thing. I'm not a
but I
big
thought
soccer
about
fan, but wow, that red is pretty nice.
I thought about
I did too.
it. Watch with the proper amount of watches is always the number of watches you have now plus one. Okay, I like the calculus on that for sure. Um, Chris is saying Jeff reminds me of a typical college professor, which I believe he is, right? I think he is. I don't know if yeah, I think he is. He is a college professor um, on Cali. Um, hey, Joe B, what's up? I have around 20 pieces, but I really only consider half of them as part of my collection. I had a baseball card collection growing up, but the commons didn't go in plastic, only the valves. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like, or the commons or the duplicates, right? You kept the duplicates for trading with your friends if they had some cards that you didn't have. But yeah, absolutely. Like the
It's a good
ones that,
analogy.
yeah, the good ones you put in plastic for sure. Eddie Murray rookie, total in plastic.
Oh yeah,
Cal Ripken. I was an Oriole fan.
yeah,
I still am. Um, Never saying I'm very glad I don't have this mindset that would drive me crazy very quickly to analyze everything that deeply. Yeah. Um, I think, but I think we all have a little bit of Jeff in us, when it comes to watch collecting.
right. I think the stuff he voices, and I'm not saying people sit around wrestle like he talks about, but I think the stuff he says, probably most of us uh, think something similar to that at some point, at least
Hmm.
part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
James is saying Jeff works out his watch issues on camera, so I don't have to. He helps me be more conscientious with my collection. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, you could definitely use Jeff as a tool that way for sure. Yeah.
right,
Um, we also know a collector with over 400 watches. I don't know how he does it. It's 20. 20 is more than enough for me. Yeah, that's crazy. That's 400 watches. That's bananas. But I mean, like that. If that person's comfortable with that, I mean, that's
yeah,
yeah. Um, BDevs, I'm an accumulator, not a collector. I only buy what I like to wear. I don't have a goal in mind, which is what a watch collector usually strives for. I certainly do strive for, but I don't think it's a necessarily a requirement to have a goal in mind as a collector. You can just collect it,
right,
and then like, oh, all of a sudden I got a collection. So yeah, I mean it depends on how we define collector, right? But
yeah.
I get that too. Be dev. Pete is saying I've got one G-Shock, the one the Air Force issued me in 1990. I'm sure that's a really cool G-Shock too. Wow, I would love to see that. I'm sure you have it in one of your state of collection videos, but that's awesome. Um, Justin, I love the watch community, so I can live vicariously through other purchases. Can't afford to do this on my own. I hear you. I hear
Yep.
you. Okay. Um, oh yeah, James. Good point. This I think we were talking about this the other day, Chaz. I really want that Rubik's Cube G-Shock right now, but it might be too lazy to sell it down the line. I'm dying for that to come out. I think it's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that alert. I think it's coming out next month. I believe February. Well, in a couple weeks. I think I read somewhere.
I
I'm
think there's
definitely.
one. I don't know if it was the one of the Asian markets. It came with an actual Rubik's cube with it. I think, and
Oh,
so
really?
I thought, man, I'd love to get
Oh, that's
that.
awesome.
I know it. I know it.
Uh, this is funny, Hans. A G-Shock on a middle-aged guy is like an old geezer, and like absolutely,
It is
absolutely.
guilty.
I've never thought about that, but you're totally right.
Yeah,
Uh, hey, Brandon Rob's here. You should never know how many watches you have. Fair
that's a
enough.
good
I
point.
I
Good point,
actually
Rob.
realize I don't. But that's a good point. Um, let's see here. Okay, so really, Hans, I can do the cube in less than 2 minutes. That's awesome.
I'm impressed.
When in the '80s when it came out, I think it came out in the '80s, right? My dad was still alive, and we bought a Rubik's cube, and he was. I went to school, and he was like, before I went to school, he's like, I'm gonna. By the time you get back, I'll have the Rubik's cube. Like I'll get all the whatever. I'll get it. I'll solve it. And so I come back home, and sure enough, he solves it. And then like later on the night, I'm looking at it, and like like when the stickers, like when you like peel stickers, like you make like a little like he totally
He
he
peeled them
totally
off.
he totally
Yeah,
peeled them off. He totally peeled them off.
he solved it.
Yeah, he solved it. Oh man. That's great. Okay, so moving on. Um let's jump into uh the one that I picked, and I've been watching a whole lot of Archie. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. I go through my cycles with him. Like there's times when I just can't stand him, and there's times where I like him. His streams, I it's hard. I hang in there for a little while.
Yeah,
I'll go back in and out, but his review videos, I think have been great. And then like his topic videos have been really good too lately. And so he put out a video early this week about how he almost quit the hobby, and basically was referring to. Now it's been a couple days since I've seen it, but he was talking about Tim Wright, who comes on a stream and has his own channel, and he was down in Miami and he was hanging out with Timepiece Gentleman. Is that the guy, Timepiece Gentleman?
yeah,
I always
yeah,
get Timepiece Gentleman and Timeless. Anyway,
yeah. Yep,
yeah. So, but we know who we're talking about. The guy who got robbed, the guy who disappeared, and came back again. And he
yeah,
was hanging around like, with a full gold Vacheron Overseas tourbillon, and just like taking pictures, and really Archie was like calling them out and like, do you even like watches, right? I mean, or are you just
right,
doing this to get on Instagram, or just show off, like it's peacocking, right?
right, right,
And at the end he's like, I almost quit the hobby, which of course he's not going to quit the hobby.
right.
um but he brings up, and I don't know if it was necessarily the point of it, but like, he brings up how, like, people go on these social um media platforms, like Instagram, and like and Facebook, and I'm sure there's others that are exist that I don't even not even aware about, right? And they just like flash these expensive watches with these expensive cars, and is that ruining the hobby, right? And I can see how that is ruining the hobby, right? In a certain way, right? I mean, like, there's a whole lot of factors that are contributing to the fact that the escalation of prices are happening in luxury goods, especially in the watch market, and it's making it hard for the serious collector, which I consider me and you and I, serious collectors, or um, to get some of these pieces. And there's a whole lot of other factors like the economy and what's going on with inflation. I get that. I mean, but is it a turnoff for you, Chaz? I mean, I know you're not in social media as much as I am,
Yeah,
but is it a turnoff for you? And would it be enough for you to, like, say, I'm done with the hobby? You know what I mean? That
yeah,
seemed a little dramatic to me, but maybe not. Maybe it isn't.
yeah. I mean, Archie is Archie.
Yeah.
You know, I know that people kind of he's kind of a real people either love him or hate him. It seems, it
Yeah.
seems I'm not on either side there. I enjoy part of what he does. I find a lot of his stuff entertaining. I think his caricature, is kind of funny at times.
Yeah.
His rants are pretty funny. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we watched a review he did of some guy, paid review of some guy's collection, and the guy had some killer watches. I mean, some big time watches, and then he had like 30 Bremont watches. Archie, Archie was trying to be nice. The guy paid
Yeah.
him like $100 to
Yeah.
do it, but he couldn't. He couldn't stand it. He just laid into him
Yeah.
over all
Yeah.
those. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he's Archie's entertaining in some ways, um, and I get what he's saying about this flexing business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I pulled out of all the. I've never have been big on social media,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I used to do Facebook and that kind of thing, but I got out of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of part of that. I don't see. I see from kind of reflections of it through friends of mine who are in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really get the brunt of it. If I was seeing that every day, that kind of showing off thing, and that creates a lot of the envy
Mm-hmm.
also, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, because I heard a lot of envy in in what Archie was saying.
Yeah.
Really, underneath
Yeah.
underneath
Oh
his,
yeah.
I don't like all this showing off stuff. A lot of it is, I don't have that, and I wish that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like the guy who has it showing it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of underneath some of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got just a live and let live philosophy about. So
Yeah.
I don't care what somebody did. If they want to flash their watch, it doesn't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, one quote I got out of that video, I just thought he said he kept saying, "Well, I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's just tacky." He said
Yeah.
it's really really tacky. Um, this isn't the hobby I love.
Mm.
And then he said, I like my luxury goods subtle. And I thought, nah, I don't think that's true. I
Yeah.
don't think, hey, Wayne,
Anyway.
I don't think that's true. I mean, the guy, he's into Louis Vuitton
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
showing
I
off
know. Yeah.
all these, $5,000 briefcase he bought or something, or
Yeah.
he doesn't like his luxury goods subtle. He likes
Eh,
to show off his stuff.
yeah. There's some hypocrisy, right? I mean, like,
Right.
there's some, like, he's over dramatic about it. You know what I
Right.
mean? But there is still, no matter that, is there some truth to it though? Like, you know what
It
I mean? Like,
is. And I think that's kind of the ugly part of the current hype watch thing. It's almost like that people are focusing on five or six watches. Really, there's not that many
mm-hmm.
that are kind of the big hitters, and everybody's kind of get the and there's probably guys who want that watch only because it's a hype watch. They don't. It's not that they love the watch; they love
Mm-hmm.
it because nobody can get it, and they can get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can kind of say, I got something you can't get, 90 boo boo.
Mm-hmm.
There is some of that, and it is, but you kind of know that when you see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
you kind of know that there's a
Yeah.
difference between somebody who really loves a watch for
Mm-hmm.
the watch
Yeah.
and just wants a watch because it happens to be the latest and greatest, whatever.
Yeah.
But hearing Archie cry about what happened to the love of horology,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well, I don't know if
Yeah.
he's all that, you know.
Yeah.
It,
But look, I mean, he's got a lot of good things to say. I mean, and
yeah,
he
yeah,
comes from a place. I mean, he's been doing this as long as anybody on YouTube that I know of, right? So there is some sort of, like, history and experience. He calls
Yeah,
himself the pontiff. I mean, do we kiss? Some of us do kiss his ring because he's been doing this for a long time. So I can't throw out everything he says because, well, he doesn't, because he's a
absolutely.
hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's
Right,
a lot of valid things that he says. And so, like, the interesting thing is, right? I mean, like, if you have a collector, I would love to see, like, we all, all everybody that I know in the community, right? We are avid YouTube content. We eat it up, right? We
right,
see a watch, we like a watch, we go online, we see as many videos as we want, we tune into streams like this, we watch topic videos. uh, you know I'd like to, like, sit down with the collector who's oblivious to all this,
right,
right? And see, like, what their take is on these high pieces, on flexing, even if they're aware of it or not, and, like, what their opinion of the watch market is today. Because we certainly have an opinion, because we're surrounded by it. We're talking to each other all the time.
right,
We're feeding off each other, right? I mean, are we feeding off each other in a positive way, or in a not so positive way, when it comes to, like, what's out there in watch collecting, and how the market is really perceived? I don't know. I don't know. I think we have it right, but I mean, like, not that we're infallible, but I think we're
right.
on the right track. Um, I don't know. I'd like to find that person, if that person
Yeah,
does exist, and see what they
yeah.
actually really
Oh,
think
there's
about the
got to
hobby.
be a bunch of guys
I'm
out
sure
there
there is.
who are just into watches that don't care about the other stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
those are the kind of guys that truly do love the watches. And just because the guy posts pictures of his watch doesn't mean that he doesn't love that watch and just trying
Mhm.
to show off
Mhm.
either.
Mhm.
Um, you can't just lump everybody that's got a sports steel Rolex or a new Patek. You can't just lump them all into you know flex machines. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys love the watches.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I'm included. Some of these guys, Neff is saying, only do this to flex or to invest. No passion, especially on those two channels. I agree. Yeah, I absolutely. Um, Here we go. And Neff again here. Yes, they are ruining the hobby, driving up the prices of watches for the people who actually want the watch for the watch and not to make a quick buck. Good point. Um, Undercover is underachieving, saying, I'd rather go on an Invicta cruise than watch Archie. I don't know. That's funny, but I don't know if I want to go to Invicta cruise. I think I'd rather watch Archie. Um, Hans is saying that the watch market has become tech and crass. Well, I think if we drill that down and say social media exploits on the watch market have certainly become, or trending tacky and crass for sure. Half of my Instagram feed is just, the typical lining up the Rolex around the steering wheel, kind of like, and maybe I should not follow those anymore, but I don't know. I kind of find them funny. Kevin saying the flexing is not a turnoff for me. The more people in this hobby, the better it'll be. Okay.
That's another way to
Staying
look at it.
positive. Yeah. Joey saying the timepiece gentleman represent everything I hate about the hobby. I pay zero attention to him and his channel. I don't watch his channel either.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't really keep up with him. Initially the timepiece gentleman. I really do like a comeback story. A guy who's had a hard
mhm.
life and turned around, made something out of himself. When I first heard his story, I was pulling for him.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
I like to see people do well, and especially if they've had a rough go. Um, I like that comeback story. But the more I see of him, I just uh, he does represent a lot about this hobby that is, um, it's just not something I want to be a part of.
Right.
I
Mm.
just the more I see of him, and making sure he's always juiced up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, that lifestyle, trying to push that out there, that if you like watches, you got to have all this other
Mm.
stuff, and
Mm.
it's that kind of that kind of maybe I'm the old guy,
Mm,
saying get off my lawn,
hmm.
but I just don't like that. I'm like Joy there. I don't like that part of the
Yeah,
hobby.
yeah.
But it's easy for me to avoid it. I'm not,
Hmm.
I'm not on
Right,
Instagram or
right.
whatever.
Just saying, I'm just not that into the same watches that are sought after, so it doesn't bother me. Um, James is saying my issue with Archie are that his psychopaths, sycophants, parodying his propane. It is. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. Um, yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, he's got some people in there that are like,
Archie's
eh,
got a lot of loyal followers,
he does,
and
Fed. He does.
he's worked hard for that. I mean,
Yeah,
really and truly,
he does. Yeah,
it,
he
it,
has.
it, he's been in this thing a lot longer than I have.
Yeah. Hey, Paul's here, and Tennessee Mike is here.
Hey, Paul. Hey,
Uh,
Mike.
Archie is a legend of legends in the watch world. Love him or hate him, he has dedicated his life to his hobby. And no disagreement here. Oh, the Rams won. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
man.
I was pulling for. I think I was telling you. I was pulling for Niners, Bengals, and then pulling for the Bengals to get a little revenge. But um, well, I'm sure it's going to be a good Super Bowl. Anyway,
Should be.
um,
But
uh,
newsflash: Archie did not quit the hobby. We
yeah,
need to.
yeah.
I mean, we
He's
need
live
to put
streaming
that.
now.
Yeah, you're right. He's getting the leads,
Uh,
Rob. He's getting the leads.
yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Another funny thing about that video, by the way, when he was kind of railing on. Is it Tim Wright?
Hmm, hmm.
And you know, like I don't really know if I like Tim Wright anymore. Archie was saying he seems to, be trying to
Yeah.
suck up to all these
Hmm.
stars. And then I look in this afternoon on his live stream. Tim Wright's right there
Tim right
with him,
there. Yeah,
yeah, not missing a beat.
yeah,
So evidently they kiss and made up. So
yeah, yeah. Challenge to the panel: have your watch collection reviewed by Archie. Now, I've actually thought about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just send it in and see. So I'm gonna wait till I add like another watch or two at some point this year, and I'm gonna send it in and just you know just hear what he has to say, because you
yeah,
never know. You never know what you're gonna get.
you
You
never
really
know,
don't know. You know,
never know.
he's very.
I'm pretty sure he would rake mine over the coals. I have no Rolex, so I think
Yeah,
that's
but
best.
he likes Omega, and
Yeah,
you got some. Let's hold the Omega talk because we're gonna
yeah.
wrap up the show with our new crush brand that we have a crush on. Um, let's see here. James saying, I get the sense that Archie's diehard fans love him more than they love watches. I am probably wrong, but that's James. I think that's a good point, man. I think there's a lot of entertainment value with Archie, and people probably just watch him primarily because they barely talk. I mean, they talk watches, but it's not
It
all they
would not
talk
be
about, right?
it wouldn't be the majority of the conversation for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, Archie calling someone else tacky. That's rich. Man. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a lot of Rams love for the Rams. Here, Pete, Bobby, you see that in discussions around Patek's, the 5711 is 10% of Patek sold and 90% of what's on Instagram. Um, yeah. Um, Okay, let's see here. Oh, Big Risk. A lot of these YouTubers you are talking about are hard to swallow. Like good, concise statement. Random Rob, Bobby, thank you. 10 Mike, Fed, Adrian are all the gold standard, in my opinion. Uh, Paul saying, I don't have any respect. I don't have to respect anyone in the hobby, whether they got carpet beetle problems or are leveraged to the hilt. So I just don't. LOL. Um, Easy Clayton, I cannot tolerate him. Right, that is from an in-person experience, though. Well, yeah, you definitely would be. have a valid opinion on that one. If you met him in person, we know you have. Yeah.
He
Um,
streams a lot. My
he
goodness,
does.
he's on the
And look, I watch his stream. I'm actually he's got like a membership. I'm a member. I kind of liked him at first. I'm not sure how I feel about him lately. Um I was on his stream earlier last week for about good 10-15 minutes. They were talking about Breguet, and I felt like I should jump in, and he let me to come on. So it was good, and he was gracious, and he was nice to me.
yeah
So like I he's another one that I go hot and cold with.
yeah yeah.
Um, but it's cooling off. It's cooling off for me with him. You know, um, carpet beetles are no laughing matter, sir. For sure. Okay, so Jazz, me and you and a couple people that we know have really been talking a lot about Omega lately, and you're a fan. You
Yeah.
have a few, right? You have the Planet Ocean. You have the World Timer. You have another one, no? Or is that it?
No, this does too. I've got the two Omegas. I want the the trifecta for me would be the gray side of the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then, you know, we've been talking about precious metal a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you've got a version of the Aquaterra that um, that you like, and I've got one that I just fell in love with. You can you can find those. The thing that makes them so attractive, first of all, Omega's a great watch. I
Right.
mean, I don't think they're better than. I'm not trying to say they're better than anything else. I'm just telling you, and objectively, they
Mm-hmm.
are great watches. You may not like the style or whatever, but they really well made watches, and they're on the secondary market. Some of their precious metal models you can find for really good prices. And
Yeah.
at some point in time, I want to add a precious metal watch,
Mm-hmm.
and it may be the Aquaterra. It may be. So
Yeah. It's loading up. I think this is one that you had mentioned that to me that you were
yeah.
interested in.
Oh man, yes, love it, love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah, I love it. That setting of gold is just
Oh,
even
yeah.
that's pretty that render, but if you see it live, it's just so much more dynamic. And that chocolate dial on that setting of gold. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I got the watch gives me the feels right there.
Yes.
It gives me the
That's
feel.
that that that's a beauty. I have uh for a while with the Omega that's been super interested in. I mean, every once in a while, something I see will interest me, but it's very fleeting. I had zero intentions of ever getting a Speedy. Wasn't interested until like lately in the last couple months. I'm like thinking, I mean, I do want that new Speedmaster, the Sapphire Sandwich with the 3861 movement. I believe that's the 3861 manual chronograph. I've been digging that watch. I don't know. It looks aesthetically like all the other ones to me. Slight variations, of course, but I've been digging that watch. I've always liked the Aquaterra line, um, but as soon as I get into it and think I'm gonna buy one, I'm like, it just kind of goes away. But there's been I like that set of goal as you said, but there's one Aquaterra in particular now, and of course I get influenced by everybody, right?
Right?
And so th- this past week on Monday, uh, Tim Masso on this Monday night was showcasing the Seamaster um, Aquaterra, and with that Sedna Gold, right, on the rubber strap, this one right here.
Yeah.
And man, so I like this Well, forget the stainless steel version of this watch without the small seconds hand and the date though at the 6 o'clock. I like that watch. I liked it on the strap, but there was something about it that every time that I thought I was going to get close to buying it, um, something about it felt like, okay, it was just okay. I really wish it had something more going on. And then he points this one out, and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the Sedna gold on the bezel. I liked the small seconds. I didn't like it at first when they first released it last year. I do now. I like everything about this watch, and man, I think I want to pick one up eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but it's going to be in next year. And I have this like fantasy of going to an AD and saying, "Hey, let's work up a deal here for the new Speedmaster and this, and
Right.
let's go from there."
Oh
So
man,
that's where I'm at.
what a what a what a combo.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
right.
I think I mean, I know it's kind of cliche to say every collector needs a speedy. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but I do feel like I want to get a speedy at some point. And for me, it's the gray side of the moon.
Hmm.
What threw me for a loop last night is I found out Sanjay's plan A was to go get a gray side of the moon.
Oof.
And man, it just that I never dreamed that would be what he was going in there for. If you'd asked me to name 100 watches, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten down to. Um, but it is a beautiful. The gray side is beautiful, um, and that I would really be Omega heavy, but this watch is gorgeous. I mean, I'm like you. When I saw Tim Masso feature this thing, I thought, golly, that's pretty,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
Like,
got so much going on. It's just
hmm
beautiful, just
hmm
beautiful.
like I could like so as you know, and as most people on this stream know, I've been a little fixated with Rolex lately, right? Um, if my plan comes to fruition with the next piece or two with Rolex, and there's a whole lot of variables, there's a whole what ifs, and it's a real small percentage chance of it happening, but there's still a possibility. Anyway, if that happens, the date just was in the mix later on. It's not part of that immediate Rolex plan, but if that immediate plan happens, I would get this over. I would just say, okay, I don't need a they just whatever. This is my alternative, and happily so, of the date just in a way to like bring in an Omega to the collection. Um,
Absolutely,
yeah.
and I mean, no, I would love. I'm not in the Rolex world, but I love Rolex. I think they're
Mhm.
great watches. But if you gave me that option or a date just, I'd have to. And if I'm looking at just the watch I love and not talking about the value of it and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, that is that is beautiful and so much more interesting to me. Even
Hmm.
though the Datejust is a beautiful
Oh
watch,
yeah.
if
Yeah.
I had a chance to
Absolutely.
get one, I'd love. It's a great watch. So,
Pete's saying, I think Omega's biggest problem is their catalog structure. So much great stuff gets lost. Absolutely. I mean, do you know how many Aquaterras there were?
oh
I mean,
yeah,
there's like 30 or 40 Aquaterras, including the women's. So I totally get it. There is a whole lot in their catalog, and it can be like a diner menu, right? There's like so much options in the menu, and you just don't paralysis of analysis, right?
right.
Um, Hans is saying 5 hours to my first conference call. We'll need to some shut eye, fellas. Okay, Hans, take care, for sure. Um, that is a stunner. I love the AT. Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about Chaz's pick, but they both are very much so on that. I think Chaz and I just really have a crush on that set in the gold.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I agree with you, and if money was not an object, they make a uh, setting a gold version of the Speedmaster that's
oh,
incredible too.
yeah,
It's kind of crazy money. I
yeah.
wouldn't spend it, but the thing about this is that that's got that watch could be you could wear that as a dress watch. You could
Hmm.
wear it as a daily watch. I mean,
Hmm.
it could be a dress up or dress down. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
perfect watch. And I think for the money, it's hard to beat, really.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you can get a little bit of a discount on it for sure. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Bobby, Watch Medicine is saying the question to ask yourself is, if I get a call for a Rolex sports watch, would I spend the allocated money for the Aquaterra or that Rolex? If it's the Rolex, it probably is a phase or not enough funds. If it's for the Rolex, so it's a question of my timeline. Like this year, I have a plan, and it includes Rolex. Hopefully, right? This right here, the Aquaterra is next year's plan. So um, and if then next year I get a call from Rolex and I'm out the door to try to get this watch, it depends on the watch. Depends on which Rolex are. But this is all what ifs, and these are great scenarios to constantly work in my head for the next year or two. Um, let's see here. What else? Dan fixated with Rolex. I didn't notice. Get the AT. Yeah, I mean it's another good point, and it's so weirdly structured, right? The Rail Master is a Seamaster, right? It's in the Seamaster line. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. Um, Chris is saying the only bad thing about Omega, don't try to resell personally on professional experience. Okay, I gotcha. Um, Justin saying I would get the AT before the DG or the OP. I think, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Justin. I think that's probably where I'm going with this. Navy Blue Monster Omega needs to downsize their cheesecake factory menu of watches for sure. Um, so you like that Aquaterra? Anything? Gray Side of the Moon. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's always, Grand Seiko's always putting out something I love.
hmm hmm
Um, you know, I love, I love Grand Seiko. I'm not a, you know, I'm not saying it's the watch for everybody or the greatest watch of all time or anything, but in, in the, in the price range where Grand Seiko has been, I think it's really got a lot to offer. Where they're going now,
Yeah.
it makes it tough
Yeah.
because I mean for my collecting,
hmm
because some of their new models are up at close to the top end of what I want to spend for a watch,
hmm
and
hmm
I don't love them that much. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Of
I
course.
mean, I love them at the down here, but the new models they're releasing up in $9,000 or $10,000. That's a lot of competition at that
Yeah.
price.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And now when you get to that range, Chaz, I mean, you have designs at one point, right, for a Moser, and
right,
and it's possible to cherry pick one from that, if you get lucky and find the
exactly.
right deal.
Right. I mean, you could talking about getting I mean, realistically, I think you can get a Pioneer Center Seconds for, I mean, close to that. I mean, you're
hmm
not a couple $1,000s more.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm going to get the Moser,
hmm hmm
at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, IWC, I want to get an IWC at some point.
Mm.
Um, that's another watch on my radar. I want to, that brand. I've always loved that brand.
Yeah.
Um, I want to get a big pilot at some point.
hmm hmm hmm
But this year I'm just being slow. I bought one watch in the last probably 3 months,
hmm
and it was not an expensive watch. It was my Marine Master 300.
hmm
Um, so I'm just going slow this year
Yeah.
because I did not go slow last year,
Yeah.
and I didn't pace myself well, and I'm not like I'm not like Wolfie. I can't keep accumulating three or four or five, whatever it is, a year.
Yeah.
So, but um, but it's fun. It's fun to have these
hmm
goals and something to shoot for. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what makes the hobby fun.
Absolutely, for sure. Navy Blue Monster saying, I love my Blue Globemaster over any of the ATs. And Navy Blue Monster, I really like the Globemaster as well. And and their annual calendar that they have is such a great watch. I mean, it was I like the regular blue dial Globemaster, but it was kind of brought to my attention about the new releases recently of the annual calendar, and They're- they have one with a red burgundy dial with a Sedna bezel that looks just so far out, man. That is just
Yeah,
such a great looking watch. Oof, Omega, Omega's hitting all the sweet spots for me lately, and it's taken a while for me to get there, but now it's just like, oh man, I'd be happy collecting, Rolex and Omega over the next couple of years. I think, you know, but there's a lot of watches. There's so many watches.
I know it, and I think you. I mean, you've got an independent.
Hmm.
I've not really gone that route, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
At some point, whether it's.
Mm.
But there's just so few of them have an entry point that I want to get in at. I
Yeah.
don't. There's some of these that are wonderful, but you really got to jump in at a
Mm.
higher level than I want to put into one watch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think, I recently picked up that Harbring, and the thing with Harbring is like, they have some good entry points. And it's a watch that can be easily or supposedly serviceable without having to send in all the way to Austria. The problem is, like, stylistically, if that's something that appeals to you, because
right, right,
it's very Germanic, like very, like, like simple
right.
design. And most of their watches, some of their watches are, much more, daring, but
Hmm.
their entry point watches, and some of the little bit higher up models, it's definitely a sanitized look,
Yeah,
but good price points to come in.
yeah, yeah,
So it's just a matter if that's your kind of taste. Um, you're not going to get like the guilloche like you would get with like a Benzinger
yeah.
or an RGM. RGM is another possibility. I think I've heard
It
maybe you
is.
mentioned that once or twice.
It is. Especially,
Um,
I mean, when Amon's new RGN just floored me. Um, I love that black dial and that guilloche on there.
yeah.
It's really, really nice. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's one of,
beautiful, right?
yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's not that it's attainable. You know, I mean, it's a big investment for me, but it's attainable, and
Yeah.
that's something I may consider strongly too.
Um, Navy Blue Monster, bring up a pic of the Globemaster annual calendar. Sure thing. We'll pick it up, and then we'll call it an evening. So this is the one that I really kind of dig, and it's
I think
just
it's super
beautiful.
cool.
I mean,
Yeah,
look, it's more than I would be comfortable spending, but I'm maybe, there's probably a little bit more wiggle room in
especially
price.
in the secondary, you could
Yeah,
probably really get a pretty good deal on that on the secondary market. Yeah,
yeah. But this is the non-gold version, but this is stainless steel. This is beautiful too,
I think
right?
so. Really?
And
Yeah,
that's 8,400, and you could probably get maybe work 25% off. That's for an annual calendar. I mean,
yeah.
that's made by Omega. I mean, it's a beauty. It really is. Just a fun watch. Um, well, Chaz, we're at just over 10, and that went pretty quickly, right?
Time flies when you're having fun, Rob.
I think we did a pretty good job there.
It's
Covering
pretty good for light soup. It wasn't
yeah,
too bad.
for light soup. Yeah,
You
only,
know,
only two crackers, with the
right,
soup,
right.
right?
Little oyster crackers.
Little oyster crackers, but not many, not too much, not too much.
No, no.
Um, we might be back on next Sunday, Chaz. It depending on Sanjay. I think he wanted to take the next couple of weeks off because of the kids,
No.
but I'll confer with him. But I'd love to have you back on next week, and maybe we
And
can
what?
add another, like a third video.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be a new little engineer wannabe, coming
Yeah, yeah,
around,
and
and
another watch.
another watch. Yeah,
Well, chat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know there was some playoff football, but you guys came on with awesome commentary and questions on the chat. Thank you so much for your participation. And I will see you guys on another Tuesday night watch talk episode on Tuesday. Guys,
I'll
have a
see
good
you
one.
guys.
Good night.